YouTube, what is going on? Crowder here, and if you guys are new to the channel, I am an ex-world champion Call of Duty player, now the head coach of Atlanta FaZe, and I'm here to give you the best Season 2 settings that you can have for FPS, aiming, sensitivity, and everything that you need to know. Let's go. All right, so starting off with the graphic settings, you're going to see that I have my render resolution at 100. That's because I play on 1440, and I want to make sure I'm getting the max of whatever the resolution I am playing on, or whatever you would be playing on. And then you go down here to upscaling and sharpening. Fidelity cast is going to be what you want to play on, and you want to make sure the fidelity cast strength is at 90. It's going to make your game look a little bit sharper and just nicer overall, which is definitely very helpful when you lower some other settings to get more FPS. So you have that setting on, and you keep scrolling down. I have my VRAM scale target on 70. And then the variable rate shading, this is an important setting. If you have this off, your game is probably going to look a little better, I would say, but you are going to lose a lot of FPS. I actually recommend having this on if you're trying to get the maximum FPS. I've went back and forth with it, but I kind of just stuck to having it on. My game feels a little bit smoother, and we all know Warzone isn't the best game when it comes to optimization, so the more FPS, the better. So that's what we're rocking with for that. And then the texture resolution and all this stuff, I'm going to have it normal. I like my game looking a little bit better. You can kind of take these to the low or very low and make your game look worse to really maximize your FPS, but some of these settings aren't going to really matter too much when it comes to how much FPS you would actually get to how much your game would look worse, you know? So I'm leaving these at normal. Depth of field, make sure that is off. Detail quality low, very low. Bullet impacts on. Just for recoil patterns, you don't really need this one on, but being a content creator, I always keep this one on. And then persistent effects off, and then scroll through the rest of these. Pretty simple stuff. Nothing's going to really change too much, but I know a lot of you guys have probably uninstalled. Anyway, I know you guys have probably uninstalled Call of Duty because it's been in such a bad spot, so we're really hoping that this Season 2 update kind of just revamps COD a little bit and makes it more playable with the anti-cheat and everything else going on. So this is going to be a revamped settings video for you guys. And then scrolling over to view, this is very, very important when it comes to just settings in general. You really want to understand that field of view setting. So I have mine at 100 is because I also play multiplayer ranked. I'm an iridescent or top 250 in that as well. So I kind of go back and forth between multiplayer and Warzone. So I keep mine at 100. If I was a Warzone only player, I would 1000% be playing on 110. I love 110. I think it is the best kind of case scenario for lowering the visual recoil, but not being too fisheye and not being able to see people. The way field of view works is it's going to stretch out your screen. You're going to get that fishbowl effect the higher the FOV that you go. The higher the FOV you go, the less visual recoil you will have, but it will be a little bit harder to see some enemies depending on your setup and all of that. So I would recommend 110. If you're a hybrid, 105 or 100 is a little bit low. It's more of a multiplayer FOV, to be honest with you. But it's really going to be preference. But again, Warzone, I would try 110. If you're a hybrid, 105. And then if you're just an absolute movement demon, you can play on 120. Again, that's going to be the lowest visual recoil. So that's kind of what I would recommend. But I play on 100, and it kind of works for me. ADS field of view is going to be affected. That is way better than independent. Again, visual recoil is going to be way less when you are using affected and not zooming in. And then you keep going through this. Weapon field of view wide, vehicle field of view wide, motion blur. You have to make sure this is off. This is going to make your game look so bad and be harder to aim and harder to see. And then your first person camera movement, make sure you have it at least. And then everything else is going to be right there. Now on to the fun stuff, the aiming sensitivity, the controller sensitivity, and everything you kind of just need to know with the controller and movement. There has been a switch up since the last time I made a video like this. I play on a much higher sensitivity. You can see that my horizontal stick sensitivity and my vertical stick sensitivity is a lot higher. Now, I was having some hand pain just because, you know, I'm 30 years old, I'm getting older, and I play way too much Call of Duty. So I wanted to find a way where I can play on a higher sensitivity that just kind of made my hand feel a little bit better, where I'm not working as hard to move the stick. I know that sounds insane, but it really was kind of bothering me. And I tried a higher sensitivity out, and we're going to get to what also helps me there in a second. But really quick, button layout and stick layout as well. I play on default. I use a BattleBeaver controller. You can use code Crowder at battlebeaver.gg. And I'm using this thing right here, the Control Freak. Now, I do believe Control Freaks are preference, but I think with the higher stick, being like, you know, propped up a little bit more with a higher sensitivity, I feel like I can control a higher sensitivity a little bit easier with the Control Freak, and it just feels better on my hand. So I kind of switched up my settings and all of that, where I wouldn't probably recommend this sensitivity to a lot of people that are trying to be like, you know, the most accurate you can be. Most professional players play on anywhere from like the 7 sensitivity to the 8 sensitivity area, which is going to be on this chart right here. You can see all the sensitivity conversions. I know it got really weird with the whole switch up of senses. I play on 2.05, which is basically now 10 sensitivity. And you know, I would recommend 1.65 if you're trying to be the most accurate you can be. So a lot of it's going to be personal preference. I've been using the Control Freak and actually absolutely loving it. That's what we've been rocking. So horizontal stick is 2.05. Vertical is 2.05. And if you go to the advanced sensitivity multipliers, you're going to see that my ADS sensitivity multiplier is going to be 0.85. So that is just basically 10 times 0.85. So it's around like the, you know, the 0.85, like 8.5 kind of area in the older chart, where it's just a little bit slower while I'm ADS, so it feels like I can kind of lock on, and I can still keep up with people sliding and moving so fast, because Black Ops 6 and the Omni movement, you really want to make sure you're not getting like people just sliding by you too quickly. So I personally feel like this really works for me. If you are a higher sensitivity player, I would definitely recommend trying that. If you're having some weird sort of hand pain like I was, I would definitely also try that too. I just felt weird playing tactical and everything else, but that's besides the point. The next very important part of this video, and I'm always going to explain this every time I make a video, no matter how repetitive this is for people that are on this channel a lot, is the dead zone inputs and actually understanding them. So if you look at the dead zone inputs right here, you're going to see that these are my settings. Now, the reason why I use all of these settings is very simple. When you have a minimum dead zone, so left stick minimum right here, it's at 0. If I hit my left stick here, you can see that I'm moving it around. Now, if I were to put this on, I think the default is 10, you're going to see that red circle go around where the left stick should be. Now, if I go back to test it, I have to actually like move my stick past that dead zone to actually start getting it to register, which in a game with Omni movement and tactical sprint and sliding, and you really, really want smooth movement, you need to be as responsive as possible with that left stick, because it is going to be very important for you to be able to get that slide off and that full momentum. So left stick minimum, I always have around 0, and kind of going up to like 3, 4, or 5 if my controller's feeling weird. Usually when your controller's working really well, though, anywhere from like 0 to 2 is kind of really good for your left stick. And then the same thing for your right stick minimum. You have over here is going to be anywhere from like 0 to 5 too. I personally don't like it super, super responsive when it comes to the right stick minimum, just because I feel like sometimes I like almost like over snap or over aim. So I actually like having it on 5, even though my controller can kind of handle a lower one. I would recommend anything from 0 to 7 here. I think if you're going higher than 7 because you're getting stick drift or anything like that, your controller's probably busted and you might need a new one. And you still want your right stick to be responsive and feel as less delayed as you can have it, of course. So again, it really is going to be preference on this one. I think 0 to 5 is that sweet spot. So I would just try, you know, 0 and see how you like it. Then try 1, then try 2, then try 3, and just kind of lock yourself in on what your aim feels best at. This just kind of works for me really, really well. And then the left stick maximum, this is going to be the weird one. You can see that if I move the setting here, you can see the ring, or that red ring, kind of gets bigger and smaller. The reason why I have it at 65 is if you go all the way back to the default, which is going to be 99, you're going to see how far away that kind of gets from. That means in order to get the full momentum of my sprint or my left stick in general, I have to push it all the way to the edge of the controller, and that's going to take a long time to get the full momentum in order to do the slide cancel or slide away or any kind of backwards sideways slide with Omni movement. So you definitely want your left stick maximum to be lower. Once you start going lower than 65, your controller kind of bugs out sometimes. At least that's kind of what I've found. So I think this is like a sweet spot from 65 to 75. Anything is better than 99. So even if you go down to 90 or 85, that is better than 99. It's going to help your movement feel a little bit smoother. So I definitely recommend that. And then my left trigger and right trigger, you can have this at 0 or 1, does not matter. It just, you want your trigger to respond as fast as possible when you shoot, because Call of Duty is a game of milliseconds, so you want to be able to aim in and shoot as fast as possible. Now moving over to the aim sensitivity, you're going to see all of this stuff is pretty normal. The sensitivity multiplier right here is what I have at the 0.85, as I explained earlier. And then aiming advanced settings right this way is going to be aim response curve type is going to be dynamic. Now, people like to play on linear. People like to play on dynamic. Everybody on Atlanta FaZe plays dynamic. Most pro players in the CDL are playing dynamic. A lot of pro players are still doing that. You can absolutely play on linear. Basically, dynamic starts with like faster movements and slows down. Standard starts a little bit slower, then, you know, speeds up, and then linear is supposed to be like a 1-to-1 rate, which it's not actually a 1-to-1 rate, but it's definitely closer in the sense of dynamic, and it feels pretty accurate too. I do think this is preference, but at the same time, the snappy feeling in Call of Duty is always going to feel best for me. So I think dynamic is just the best, and I don't mess with the slope of the curve at all. I don't really think it's worth messing with. I think having it at 1 kind of gives you that best feeling of, you know, the snap to slow. And it's just the most accurate when it comes to that. And again, most of the players that I know that are some of the best players in the world are keeping it at 1 dynamic. So that's kind of what I've been doing too. So that's what I would recommend for you guys. Target aim assist, absolutely have that on. ADS aim assist, absolutely have that on. Nothing with your motion censored advanced settings. Have that off. And then movement is going to be over here, which is pretty important. Tactical sprint assist is going to be your tac sprint to get that instant tactical sprint as fast as possible to perform everything that you want. You want your sprint assist delay to be 0 and then everything else to be on, so you are as smooth and fluid as possible when you're on the Warzone map. And then as you kind of go down from here, you have your mantle assist off, crouch assist off, corner slice. I don't play with corner slice on. You can have that on. That's kind of a preference thing. I personally think it's annoying. And then slide to dive behavior. I play on hybrid. I kind of like to dive off buildings and pull my parachute. And also in multiplayer, I like to be able to dive into hills and kind of, you know, mess with that stuff. If that is just too much for you and you're doing a lot of accidental dives, you absolutely do not need to play on hybrid to be a good player. You can still play on slide only and eliminate the delay. The one thing I will tell you guys is please do not be playing on tap to slide or tap to dive, because tap to slide or tap to dive is going to give you a significant delay in sliding or diving, and you just do not want that. So if you want to be able to slide cancel without a delay, slide only is probably the best thing for you. If you want to have the most advantageous movement that you can have, hybrid is going to be the best for you. But either one of those will be absolutely fine. Do not feel bad if you're playing on slide only and not hybrid. You're still going to be a really good player. There still are some players that only do play on slide only. Scrolling down, you have your sprint restore on, and then the rest of this is going to be pretty simple. Movement advanced, nothing going to be too crazy here. Single tap to run, even though I do have the tactical sprint assist on, just in case it's not working and Call of Duty bugs out. As we all know, it loves to do that. One click to the left stick and you go back to that tactical sprint. So that's why I have that on it like that. And then everything else is going to be here to the combat side of things. Going to be nothing too crazy here. Armor plate, apply all, probably definitely super helpful. And then, yeah, you're going to see that most of this stuff is pretty normal. Interact, reload behavior, prioritize interact is very important to be able to loot very fast, to be able to pick things up. I think that is really good in Warzone. Kind of annoying in multiplayer, but if you get used to holding square to reload, you'll be absolutely fine. And that's what we're rocking on that. And then just keep scrolling through this way. We're going to go to our next one, which is going to be interface settings. Interface settings, we're going to have pretty normal stuff here. The telemetry is just going to be like what I have on. FPS, server, packet loss, you know, doesn't really matter. It's kind of whatever you're interested in seeing. Readability, the color customization. This is actually an important one. These are my colors. I like just having these colors just to be able to see my teammates a little bit better. I think the blue kind of stands out a little bit more. And then the color filter target, make sure it's on both. Color filter 2, world intensity 100/100. Kind of makes your game a little bit more vibrant with the colors and just a little bit more visible. I think that is very helpful. And then the gameplay HUD is going to be important. You want your HUD bounds to be as enclosed as possible, because this is going to bring your mini map over here to the top left, which is going to be very important for everything that you need to know. Red dots, where the shots are coming from, where you need to rotate, where the circle's going, anything you need to know, where your teammates are. Everything is going to be your mini map. If you are looking at the center of your screen, you do not want to have to go all the way up to the left and then all the way back down to the center of your screen to get into information. You kind of want to do a quick one and then go right back down to it. I think bringing the HUDs in is actually kind of super underrated. So I like bringing it all the way in. Minimap square, it just makes it bigger, which is very important. Minimap rotation, I have that on because I don't know how people can't play with that on, but that's probably a preference thing. Never turn radar on. That makes your game absolutely horrific. I don't know why this is even a setting. And then the rest of this is pretty simple. The crosshairs is going to be something to know. If you have your crosshairs on but not static, your crosshairs will actually bob and weave while you're sliding and your gun's moving, and it's just kind of super annoying to deal with. I think having the static on your screen is just very nice, or you can just take them off completely and use the center dot. I have a static crosshair, and then my color is going to be like that really vibrant teal kind of blue, or that electric blue, and that's going to be what we're rocking. If you want my exact color, it is that right there. The hex number is going to be 00D8FF. And then the rest of this is simple, right here. All the stuff that you need, nothing's going to change on that, and that is going to be every setting that you need when it comes to the interface. And the last and final thing that you guys are super interested in is what am I playing on for my audio. So now on PC, I have loudness EQ, which is just like the Windows setting loudness EQ. It's very easy to set up. I would recommend going to Art is War or FPS Hub when it comes to anything audio upgraded. The audio upgrades with FPS Hub are really good. Art is War is also really good. I am sponsored by FPS Hub, and I use a lot of their settings to help me kind of get the most out of my PC. You can use code Crowder at FPS Hub to get a discount at checkout. But again, I wouldn't ever lie to you guys in these videos. Art is War is also very good when it comes to it. Loudness EQ is what I use, and that's because it sounds better for videos and stream. If you see right here, I do have the Art Tune cable. I do not use Art is War's audio or FPS Hub's audio boost. And the reason why is because it doesn't sound as good for content. And I'm not a super sweaty Warzone player when it comes to like being a pro anymore. I'm 30, I'm retired. I don't really care that much. So the loudness EQ kind of does it for me. just does just enough where I'm happy with it. But again, if you want to get your audio optimized, I'd recommend going to FPS Hub or Artist War and kind of doing all that when it comes to PC players. And then this is going to be 100, 0, dialogue 50, effects 100, and then turning off the cinematic music volume. The effects being up is really nice. The dialogue is good to know what's kind of going on with some of the stuff going on in Warzone with streaks and all that. And then when it comes to loudness EQ, I play on the Treyarch mix with loudness EQ. If I was not using loudness EQ and I was not using Artist Wars Tune, I would be using Sucker Punch. I think that is the best for just stock audio. I do not turn on the enhanced headphone mode ever. I've tried it with a bunch of different things. I think it sounds like crap. Personally, just don't really love it. And then everything else here is going to be what you kind of want. I don't have any configure frequencies or anything like that. I don't test any of those out. I just put it on Sucker Punch for stock audio, and then I use loudness EQ for that. So that's going to wrap it up for all the in-game settings. We have a few window settings to show you guys, and then you guys can be on your way to enjoying Season 2 in Warzone. First things first is you're going to go to your NVIDIA control panel, and these are going to be the Manage 3D settings on the left side here that I have. I'm just going to scroll through these so you guys can copy them. Again, I've worked with FPS Hub to make sure I have all the best kind of tunings and everything that I can possibly have, and I really do trust them. I think they're some of the best in the business. So this is kind of what we're rocking right now on my PC. So I'm just going to scroll through this slowly. Of course, you can pause and screenshot and do whatever you want when it comes to what you need here, but all this stuff is going to be pretty set up, you know, well. I haven't had any issues with my PC recently, so I'm feeling really good. Next, if you go to adjust desktop color settings, I do have my digital vibrance at 50. It used to be at 70, but I just got a new OLED monitor, and I feel like with 70, it was like almost overwhelming. So I went back to 50. If you do want your game to feel a little bit more vibrant, I would try 55, 65, or 70 when it comes to vibrance. I think it makes your game look a little bit better. That really does depend on what monitor that you are playing on. So again, kind of just mess with that if you kind of want your game to look a little bit better. But of course, if you don't really care about that, you can leave it at 50, and that's what we're rocking for that. And then finally, for the last setting that I would recommend, someone actually asked me if I had this on or off in my Twitch chat, so I'm going to address this for you guys in the YouTube video too, is the hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. I do have this on when I am playing anything on my gaming PC. So I'd recommend having this on for that. It feels pretty good. I actually turned this off on my streaming PC with OBS, but that's a whole different thing. But again, that's what I have selected on for my gaming PC. And that is every setting that you guys probably need to know to have some fun with multiplayer, Warzone, and anything you need to know for PC COD. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.